Hi guys. Hi guys, how's it going? Come in, come in. Come in, come in, come in. Come in guys, come in, come in, come in. Come in, come in, come in. I'm gonna give people maybe 5 minutes before we get started. I hope y'all had a good Sunday. I'm not feeling that great, but it's okay. I'm gonna push through because I promised I would do this live, and I think it's gonna be really helpful for folks. If you would like, you can click the link in my bio to see all of my different products and offerings. I do a 4-month coaching program for folks who are looking to do a career pivot, but also, I trial tested and debuted a custom GPT for resume. It's called Resume Evaluator. Click the link in my bio to get it. I'm making it 100% free. So what I do is I integrate AI tools and technology to help some of my clients and literally demonstrate for them in real time how they can find use cases for a lot of these tools. So I put together a custom GPT specifically called Resume Evaluator for folks who want to see how their resume compares against high-performing resumes across various industries, specifically integrating AI and digital literacy. I would say that is like the biggest proof point here is that the Resume Evaluator specifically measures your resume against people from Ivy League schools that you're competing with. So it's going to compare your resume against high performing resumes from Ivy League graduates. And it's also going to rate you or score you on how well you were able to articulate AI skills, digital skills, so you can compete better in the workforce. I don't know if there's anything else on the market that does specifically that. So if you want to get that Resume Evaluator, it's a free custom GPT that I built. I'm making it free available to everyone. There's no reason why I shouldn't. Link is in the bio. Click that and get into it. Okay. Now, at 7, I'm going to give y'all 4 minutes before we start. 4 minutes. So the purpose of this live today is for me to show you how you use the custom GPT and how you can integrate the custom GPT with the prompt engineering ebook. There is a 100% free chat GPT prompt engineering ebook I put together with a few example prompts for you guys to use. So there's no excuses, right? I do offer coaching courses. Not a course, sorry. It's a program to coach you guys. But I did make the custom GPT and the ebook free. So you can't say I don't do anything for free. I believe if you're knowledgeable, you can make the GPT and the Resume Evaluator and the chat GPT prompt engineering ebook work for you. There's no reason why it can't if you take its recommendations and apply it. I think you can do some damage with that. But what I have found is a lot of folks, even with the tools, are still struggling because they don't know what to focus on. It's 2 things: getting the job and keeping the job. And so my career program is a 4-month program. It's specifically helping you get in touch with yourself to know what you like and what you're good at, what makes the most money. I teach you all the things that I do in my practice in terms of like how to find the best jobs, how to network, how to, build a good resume, what makes a good resume so you don't have to rely on an AI, right? Because you can't, one thing I don't want you guys to do is let an AI think for you. I prefer to teach you guys how to fish instead of just like constantly giving you fish. So that's what the coaching program is for, is to help you understand how to actually design a career and think long term about your career prospects. So you don't have to rely on ChatGPT to do it. I'm currently stuck in a design major, but I want to go into a business career. Should I drop out? I don't really answer a ton of generic questions like this because you need to book a call. And we need to talk through what your options are. I have to look at your resume and gather a few data points. I don't want you to make a long-term career decision based on what random person says on TikTok. I have to really look at like what it is that you're doing. But as far as like going into business, if you're trying to go into business in 2025 and beyond, you need to be integrating AI and all these different digital tools into your workflow. So that's the purpose of the resume evaluator, because it's going to compare you against people who do it. So if you're not doing it, it's going to tell you, hey, like you're ranked lower in this area. Have you considered using AI to do da 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 da? And then you go do it and integrate it into your workflow at work. So if you are trying to go into business right now, I'm not saying it's a bad time to go to business school. I think it can be a great investment decision. I think learning certain things, like going into business, and I guess it depends on what it is you mean when you say business, right? But the idea is that you can hone your business acumen skills. And I think you can do that in entrepreneurship, but you definitely can do it in a corporate setting as well. So I think a lot of times it comes down to knowing what the opportunities are, like what jobs are actually going to help, hone your business acumen skills, and then what you're competitive for. Because you're not competitive for every role. You're qualified for some, but competitive for very few. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. It's now 10 minutes in. The folks who come in just come in late. Okay, so we're going to start with the basics. For those of you who are just coming in, my name is Faith. I'm a career designer and AI futurist. So my job is to make sure you guys understand the AI technology and the tools that's out there, and also that you leverage that as part of your career journey. If you're trying to be successful in 2025 and beyond, you absolutely need to integrate all these tools into your workflow at work so you can stand out and so you can keep your job. Before we dive in, I need to make that clear, because I just saw an article the other day where the CEO at Coinbase actually told some of his employees that they needed to get trained on some of their internal tools and they needed to use them. And some people made excuses for why they didn't. And as a result, they got cut. It's that serious. If you don't use AI in your day-to-day, if you don't use the licenses, it means you might be made redundant. It means they may be trying to cut you. You need to get a license to these tools if you don't, and then use it in your everyday workflow. So last call, go ahead, click the link in my bio to get access to the resume evaluator that I'm going to be demoing for you tonight. Get access to the ChatGPT prompt engineering ebook. It's 100% free. Get that. The link is in the bio. There's no reason why you shouldn't leverage it. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to demo for you the resume evaluator that I built. This is like the beta version. There's still things I want to add into it, but I just want to show you just an example of how, a simple example, just super basic example of how you can literally just use ChatGPT to help you as part of your job search. You need to get creative, not just in your job search, but also, in your current workflow at your job. How do these fintech industries look for people who want to enter into it? That's a super specific question about fintech. I would say you can get recruited, but I would say this: September is a good time for recruitment. So if you're trying to enter into a new field, now is the best time to book a call with me, because you have 1 week in August to get your act together and start shooting out as many applications as you can humanly do in September. It's a great time for recruiting. A lot of job openings are about to open up, so I want to make that known to you. So that's why I'm doing this live in August. I might do one more in September and we're going to move on. Now, fall, September, August, September timeframe. More job openings will open up now, historically, and then again in maybe January timeframe. So, but for fintech specifically, we can have a conversation about that industry at a later date. That's not the purpose of this live. Okay, so let me flip my screen. Where is it at? I literally just had it, guys. There we go. Let me see if I can flip my screen. Hold on. I am still learning how to do this. Flip camera. Can you guys see my computer? Can you see? Can you see? It's not long enough, but you guys can see the gist. Like you can see the open window, right? Okay, so this is the resume evaluator. So the purpose of this is to score the impact of your resume. It's to highlight any AI relevant skills, and it's going to give you a more tailored, the captions blocking the screen. Let me see if I can take the board off. Maybe that'll help. I'm not sure how to do that. Is it my caption, or is it the apply to six-figure jobs with me? Is that blocking it? I'm just curious to know like what specifically it is. Because I think I might be able to take the board off without having to like does that work? Is that better? I don't know. Is that better? That's the best I could do, guys. I don't know. Is that better? Okay. I'm still learning some of the new stuff. I used to go live all the time on TikTok, and then like I stopped going live for 2 to 3 years, and then I went back and everything had changed. So I'm still getting used to like some of the nuances here. But okay, so the purpose of the resume evaluator is to help score your resume and give you a starting point to understand where you're at against some of your competitors. Now, like I said, the link to the resume evaluator is a custom GPT that I built. It's not publicly available necessarily. You can only access it using a link. So it's not listed on the ChatGPT store at this time. I might do it in the future, but right now it's available by link only. So you have to click the link in my bio to get the resume evaluator. So yeah, we're going to start with uploading like a basic resume that I found on a career services site. Career services sites are really good places for you to get free resources. So I found this like random resume and I was like, okay, we can use this. So let's start with, there's 4 different prompts to get started. You can just start typing anything, but we're going to start with one of these 4 prompts. Upload my resume and score it. Okay, what it's going to tell you to do, pretty much regardless of the prompt, is it's going to ask you to upload your resume as a PDF. This is specifically for, I told it to do this, by the way. I told it to do this because we need to keep formatting consistent, and it provides a stable basis for like all the evaluator stuff that happens after that. When you're building a custom GPT, that's something to keep in mind. You do need to install some sort of structure, a structured response framework, so that it can build on that over time and learn. You don't want to introduce too many variables that like stress it out at the beginning. That being said, at least with this custom GPT I use, like GPT-5, that model is really good. It's really intuitive. So I don't have to do it with GPT-5, but maybe like 4.0, I would have had to do a lot more. So if you want to talk more about like the different like GPT models and my experiences with those, I'm not super knowledgeable. Like I'm not an AI specialist. It's just because I've built multiple GPTs over time and I've had to trial test a few things. It's kind of like helped me over time learn how to use it. So this is built on GPT-5, so it's really intuitive. It's like a senior level assistant, I guess. It's like if you could compare it to like 4.0 being an intern, Evaluator ChatGPT 5 is more knowledgeable, so you don't have to like hold its hand and tell it what to do, if that makes sense. It can kind of like intuitively start to pick up on nuances and give you a result or some output that makes sense. So if you haven't used GPT-5 before, just know that you can change, like I think using this carrot, you can change the model here. Y'all see that? Anywho, just wanted to let you know that, just like some random GPT things in case you didn't know. I have the paid version of GPT, but I'm pretty sure you can do that for the free version too, I think. Okay, so it's asking me to upload a resume. So let me upload something real quick. I'm going to upload my sample resume. You see here how I did that? I just clicked the plus sign and then added my PDF. So let's see what it says. Okay, I asked it to include the JSON scoring output, but you can just ignore that part because it's not really necessary. It's going to give you like a breakdown underneath. So here's the explanation it's giving you. Your resume sits in the needs, measurable outcomes, and tighter alignment category, meaning it's scored at 64 out of 100. The foundation is strong, and it tells you some things that you did well, but you're missing some proof points. So before we read the rest of this, let's take a look at what the resume actually says, and then we can talk through why it may have given it that 64 out of 100. Because I want you guys to actually see the resume itself. This is the resume sample. So this is for some made up person that went to UPenn. So this is not a dumb person, right? This is somebody who went to a really good school. So this custom GPT that I built is trained against Ivy League graduates. It's not trained against random people. That matters because we want you to be competitive against others in your industry or others that are in the job market currently that may have more prestige or privilege than you. So you can actually stand out against them or at least compete effectively. Okay? So this person, they got their bachelor in computer science with a math minor, cumulative GPA of 3.35 out of 4.0. So for like a computer science major, 3.3 is pretty solid, I would say. So this is a solid effort. They give all the technical skills, all the coding and stuff that they know how to do. They give some examples of coursework. So this is probably somebody who's like a recent college graduate. Usually recent college graduates, they'll include that stuff at the top, you know, because they're new to the job industry. So they're trying to get an entry-level position. So they kind of hit you with the most need to know information first. If you are an experienced professional, you don't need to put all this extra stuff at the top because the most relevant thing is your experience. Okay? So if you were an experienced professional, you need to put your experience, relevant experience first. Then all the other stuff, like all this other stuff about your education and technical skills and all that. In many cases, you can put that at the bottom. So that's how I know this resume reads like somebody who is a current student or a recent college graduate. So if you scroll here through the employment experience section, they break down their experience. Now, one thing I like that they have here is they have some recognizable name brands. Westchester, that's local. Is that Pennsylvania? Yeah. So the idea here is that they list the most cool thing first. If you worked at Google, you better lead with that. So this person, because they're a college student, they put employment experience and they did it chronologically. But as you become more experienced, it's totally fine to just put relevant experience. And it doesn't have to be in chronological order because you're just showing what the recruiter wants to see. The recruiter only has 6 seconds. So if they only have 6 seconds to scan your resume, make it easy for them and tell them the cool stuff first. So if this person was an experienced professional and they put Google first, that's something a recruiter would want to see. Don't put Google down here. Put Google first, okay? They need to see that you have a recognizable name brand on your resume. So moving on, they do some pretty decent things here. They tell you what they did. They have multiple internships. That's what you want to see. So if you're a college student, you need at least 2 or 3 to be competitive in this discussion. And then after that, they talk about some of the projects they did. That's important. I would go so far as to say in 2025 and beyond, you don't just need to have internships. You also need to have proof of work, meaning we need to see what you have done or built or led. So if you are in the STEM field, we need to see some research projects. We need to see some presentations. We need to see something that you did or built. Why is that important? Because at the end of the day, these employers, they want to see that you can actually do something. just sitting in class all day don't really mean anything to them. So they want to see how you actually leverage your learning and your ability outside the classroom. One way to do that is internships, but another way to do that is through projects and research and all of those other additional things. So you need to layer that into your college experience. If you're an existing professional, it's actually even more important that you have projects. And I would say how you do this on your resume depends on your field. So if you've done speaking engagements and won awards, you've led things, led initiatives, you might want to make that its own section depending on your field. That's why people hire me as a coach, right? Because I'm telling you these things relevant to you. I'm not going to give you blanket advice. I think we need to see what you're doing, what your industry is, the industry you're trying to pivot to, and then we do that. We kind of do something strategic with your resume in terms of the formatting. But anywho, this person is an undergrad student, so they did pretty good with what they have. They have leadership and volunteer experience. Nothing wrong with that. Not really relevant once you graduate college, but you could still do it. It's just nobody cares. And then they have the things that they're involved in. Again, they're a college student. Now, mind you, you see how they got one page and it's full? Very mindful, very demure. We don't need no 2-page resume unless you have at least 5 years of professional experience. I just got to be for real. A recruiter only has 6 seconds to look at your resume. Don't make it hard for them. 1 page is good enough. Once you hit 5 years of experience and beyond, you might have something to say worth 2 pages. So let's go back to the custom GPT. So now that we kind of talked through what's actually on the resume, let's look at what ChatGPT had to say. So based on the GPT I built, it ranked this as needs and measurable outcomes and tighter alignment. So it gave it 64 out of 100. That's a failing score, essentially. Like if you were to take a test and you got a 64, that means you failed. This is not a dumb person. This is a computer science grad who has a decent resume, but and on top of that, like they go to an Ivy League university and it gave it a 64. Let's talk about why. So, proof of impact. The number one reason why people, whether they are young people just starting their career or older people who are more experienced, the number one reason, 64, when I was in school, 64 meant you did not pass. That was an F, friend. For us, if you wanted to pass, you had to have like above 70. It's probably a little different now, but I was in school a long time ago. Y'all got that Common Core stuff now, so I don't know what y'all doing. But back in my day, 64 was failing. I don't know what they're doing now, but but anywho, so the number one reason is proof of impact. So let's go back to the resume real quick, because I need to break this down to show y'all practically why your resumes don't do nothing. They go nowhere. They go into the void and they stay there. The reason why is because this person, they've done a lot. Like look, Ivy League graduate, they got technical skills. Look at all the coursework that they've been doing. They worked at Google. They could probably get an interview or two just off of Google alone. Like if you worked at Google in any way, Google, Microsoft, any of the FANG companies, you're in there. You at least get the interview. Thank you for the award. So think about this. Most of y'all ain't at FANG as an intern. Most of y'all aren't at Big Four consulting firms. This is who you're fighting. This is who you're competing against. This is your competition. People who working at the top companies. And it gave them a 64. You want to know why? Because they listed all these wonderful things, but they didn't list what and how. So let's just I'm going to put it like this. When you say develop metrics and dashboards, At least they said for what? They said AdWords and outbrain marketing. So we know the specific technology they used, right? And then they said a website blog. And then they said, oh, I use Linux, Python, and SQL. Okay, that's good. So you're telling me what technology you used. That's helpful. To do what? Develop metrics and dashboards. What was the end state? What was the outcome? When I read this, that sounds nice, but I have no idea how impactful that even was. So if you develop this metrics dashboard, what does that even mean for the business? Did you make some money off of that? Like, did you generate revenue? Did you help decision makers make crucial decisions? Did you, present this information to C-level decision makers or something? Like, what did you do with that? You just developed the dashboard. Okay, what happened after that? What did they do with the dashboard? Do you understand what I'm saying? Same thing. Design Android mobile applications for stroke patient rehabilitation. Okay, you're telling me that you designed a mobile app. Great. So what? Why should I care that you developed this app? It's the number one problem at all these resumes I've seen in the time that I've been coaching. The number one. Because who cares? Who cares you did all these things? So what ends up happening is that you end up writing a job description. When you don't put your impact in your resume, it becomes a job description. And at that point, I could have just went on LinkedIn to find that. I want to know how you being on the team made the team better. Not just because of what you built, but what happened with what you built. What outcomes were you able to generate because of what you built? And so that's what this GPT is getting at here. This custom GPT that I built is basically saying, because I told it to score you based on impact, and it's going to give you some examples of things you could do. So here it says impact 16 out of 25, meaning bullets read like task lists. You just wrote a job description. Now, granted, this person is a young professional and they are literally in college. So you may not even have proof points yet. Can we be for real? Most of the time, it's hard for experienced professionals to connect what they do every day to business impact. But young people have it even worse because not only can they not connect the business impact of their daily job to their function, you know what I'm saying? They also don't have any proof that what they're doing makes a difference because they're not trusted with a ton of critical stuff. You're an intern. What are you really finna do that's gonna really change the game? You're not moving the needle as an intern. You know what I'm saying? So it's a forgivable offense when you're new. It's a forgivable offense when you have less than 2 years of professional experience because you're still trying to figure out what your place even is at the company, right? But once you have over 2 years of professional experience, people start to ask questions. You start to doubt your ability to do the role or that you even get what the job is even about. If you can't articulate your impact and connect your job function to the business impact, meaning how you were supposed to help the business grow, how are you supposed to help the company make more money? What did you actually do for them? So it says currently you launched Google Plus stories and contributed to story generation algorithm. So you just said what you did and it makes a recommendation. Here's something else you could say. Stories feature. So you launched Google Plus stories. That's a feature on Google Plus used by 2 million users. You see how that tells you the scope of the work that you accomplished? It's not just telling you, oh, I did this thing. It's telling you the scope of the project. It's telling how big of a deal it actually is. So if you were to put this in bold on the resume, a recruiter would see that and be like, oh, okay, that was a major project. They worked on a major, well-known project at Google nonetheless. Okay, that's dope. That's giving the recruiter something to actually understand, why this is even on your resume to begin with. And that's important because your recruiter typically is not a technical person. So they're not, I mean, there's technical recruiters, I suppose, but most recruiters are not like, they're like HR people. Like they're not programmers. So you got to make it clear to them why this is important. You optimize the algorithm. But then what else? You reduce content generation time by 18%. So you're telling me, so what? So if I'm gonna need you to start doing that from now on. When you have something on your resume like this, ask so what? Launched Google Plus Stories and contributed to story generation algorithm. So what? Why should I care? So what? This is why. Number one, over 2 million people used it. So it's a major project for the company. But on top of that, you actually had an impact. You've reduced generation time by 18%. You see how you got some numbers attached to that statement? Yeah. So the GPT is going to tell you, as part of the metrics cookbook, it's going to tell you how to add metrics to prove impact. And it's going to give you some examples. Business outcomes. Remember I talked about that? Business outcomes, cost savings, revenue impact, growth percentages, numbers, metrics. Tell us why we should care. Performance, speed, efficiency, error reduction, adoption, number of users, engagement, retention. That kind of stuff matters in any business context because it tells you the scope and the size of the project you were working on or what you did. Okay, it did say that this resume had a lot of clarity. So the formatting and structure was really good. And I agree with that. I think that the structure of the resume was solid. I thought it was extremely good. It told a story. It gave me the most important things first. Like if you worked at Google, just say that so we can go about our day and I could just book you the interview, right? Like don't make your recruiter work harder to find out. So if you worked at a really nice or like a really well-known, reputable company, put that first. And then it talks about the role fit. If you're aiming for software engineering, this is strong. I agree. I agree. You got to remember the job that you're applying for. It listed, remember, they listed all the skills. So when you have all those skills listed, automatically it reads to me like, okay, this person is an engineering student or something. It was super easy to scan that resume and understand the kind of person this was and what kind of job they were looking for. It was pretty easy for me, honestly. So then let's get to the part that, this is the part that be tripping y'all up. AI literacy. This is the part that be tripping y'all up. If it's not impact, it's AI literacy. God forbid you struggle with both. God forbid you struggle with both. You ain't even getting the interview. You're not even in the system at that point. They give you the auto reject. People been telling me that they getting auto reject emails as soon as they apply. That's insane. But I'm just telling y'all how brutal things are. So the purpose of this GPT that I built is not to just tell you how to make your resume better, but it's also to show you the hidden gaps and provide some like realistic recommendations. Because let's be for real, we all have to use AI. And I think depending on your company, you have more access to these tools than others. So this should kind of be a wake up call for you. I work at a major firm at this point, so I already have access to like enterprise tools. So it's easy for me to integrate a ton of ChatGPT, AI, whatever, because I use the tools every day. So that makes me an incredibly competitive candidate because most of my resume is just stuff that I built, building GPTs, building agents. Like that's what I do all the time. But if you work at a smaller company, this is going to be more of a challenge because you may not have the licenses. So there's already a hierarchy that's taking shape between the people who understand the tech and know enough to use it and find business cases versus people who don't. So if you are low in AI literacy, that's going to be like a huge obstacle for you to overcome, and you need to tackle that head on. So in this case, the person here, they were ranked 8 out of 20. And this person is a computer science college grad. So technically, I'm a little shocked that they were low. But you got to think, they had all those skills that they listed, but it wasn't like a ton of AI stuff that they mentioned. There wasn't a lot of AI skills they mentioned. So what this is also saying to me is that college students, you guys need to be prepared for the workforce that exists now, not for the one that existed 5 years ago. Okay? You need to be prepared for reality, which is that when you are a traditional college student, what you're learning is theory, but the workforce is practically what you're going to be doing and experiencing. So the things that you're working on in class, you're reading books and you're practicing certain things, that stuff is important, but that's like foundational knowledge. At some point, you're going to have to grow that through internships, through research experience, through all sorts of extracurricular activities. So you actually can build projects and get a better understanding, like a grasp of the way the world is today. Because a lot of college grads are going into school, they're learning obsolete information, and then they go to the workforce and they realize that nobody cares about what they learned. So it was shocking to me at first that this person ranked so low as a college, computer science student. But then I was like, nah, that kind of makes sense. Because ultimately, like, if you went to school for 4 years and all you learned was foundational knowledge in computer science, but you don't have a lot of practical knowledge, you're not practically solving any problems yet, then yeah, you might be low in this area. So yeah, a lot of y'all are going to be lower here. You need to tackle that head on. And it gives you some recommendations. Like, if you actually did this stuff, you could include it. But unfortunately, this is why my job is needed, because this is going to give you like a recommendation for what you can include in the resume. But if you never did this, like if you never developed an ML-based spam detection system with Google and you worked at Google, but maybe you never did that, that can give you an idea of what you could possibly do. But that's why people hire me as a coach, because my job is not just to get you guys hired, but to get you more competitive and repositioned in the market. And to kind of help you with some of this stuff, like there's different like use cases for some of these tools that are out, but we need to take an assessment of what you're doing today and your skill set, and then figure out how to upskill you in your current role before we move on. And that's not always clear cut. Like, you'd be surprised when I do coaching calls with clients in my program and we go into like all the specifics of their day-to-day job, and they're shocked at all the opportunities they have to use technology better to drive more business impact in their current role before they even move on. And they're not taking that seriously enough. So again, if you're trying to figure out, okay, I have the custom GPT, I can get the link is in the bio. If you want to test it out for yourself, the link is in my bio. It's free. The chat GPT engineering prompts, that's also free. The link is in my bio. But if you're trying to figure out why would someone book like a 4-month program, why would someone book a consultation? It's because the AI can't necessarily do the thinking for you. Like, it can give you like maybe examples, but it doesn't know your specific situation. So that's why as a consultant, that's what I do. Like, I help you talk through your existing tech stack, and then we go through like what opportunities you have in your existing role. And so anywho, we're going to move on to future proofing, which is also a huge point of the reason why I built the GPT in the first place, because I want you to see like not only where you're positioned against competitors, but you're also racing against time, right? You're trying to beat out your competitors who are going to these Ivy League schools, but you're also having to beat out time, because again, time is the biggest factor here. What's relevant today may not be relevant 5 years from now. So you have a solid adaptability measure. Okay, Google, healthcare, tech. There's a lot of diversity in terms of like the types of work that they've done, but you don't frame it as cross-industry versatility. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. Early on in your career, versatility is essential, I would say. I would say like the first 2 years, versatility in your career in terms of like the different industries you've worked on, different projects you've worked on, can be incredibly beneficial, because sometimes you don't really know where you want to land. You know what I'm saying? If you've been to college, you know what I'm talking about. When you go to college, like, you don't necessarily know exactly what you'll be doing until you graduate after a few years and things start to settle down. So it's good to have a lot of versatility in your resume, so that way you can kind of understand, at least you can demonstrate that you are adaptable and flexible, and you can be modeled to what the company wants. But once you're 3 to 4 years in, You need to go for depth of knowledge. So I would imagine this section would look a little bit different if we were talking about an experienced professional with like 6 years of experience. You know what I mean? But for someone at this phrasing or this like stage in their career, it's helpful to have that versatility because they're just trying to get hired somewhere out of college. Employers want to see that you can pivot. Yeah, and it gives you examples of how you can, what you can be saying. But it's not necessarily going to do the thinking for you. It's just giving you a framework to help you understand. Yeah. So here it gives you a checklist of things that you can take on. So you can rewrite bullets with metrics and outcomes to demonstrate your impact. You can add AI and automation framing to projects that you've worked on. You can tailor to target job posting using specific keywords. And it recommended some keywords earlier. It highlighted transferable adaptability across different sectors. And then it even said like expand your leadership impact. So quantify the number of students that this person might have mentored or worked with in some of their like frat stuff. It offers to rewrite one of your job sections, and you can definitely do that. But what I'm going to do, now that you've kind of like seen what the GPT is capable of, as an example, it's just a basic example from a random resume. Now let's take it a step further, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to combine the powerful way that I designed this custom GPT with some of the chat GPT prompts. So if you want to get that freebie, it's like a prompt engineering workbook with some prompts that you can work on. Click the link in my bio for that. It's all there. But I'm going to combine the two, and we're going to do some powerful work. You have another 10 minutes, and then I'm probably going to dip, guys, because I got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. Okay, so this is like the prompt engineering workbook. This is what it looks like. It's pretty no fluff. I just put it in a Word doc and sent it out. It's 100% free. So I'm going to use some of these prompts and play around with it a little bit to demonstrate how prompt engineering can really change the way that you approach not just your career efforts, but also it can change the way that you approach, what's the word I'm looking for? It could change the way that you approach a lot of tasks in your life once you learn how to prompt correctly. So let's see. Conduct a comparative analysis using the above job description and the resume attached. Are there any competencies that are unaddressed? What would make the resume a better fit? Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a job. I'm going to find a job on LinkedIn. And then I'm going to attach the PDF and run a comparative analysis against the two. Does that make sense? So let me go to ChatGPT. So that's the prompt. I'm going to attach the PDF of the resume. And then I'm going to go, this person works in Philadelphia and they're computer engineering graduate. So that means I need to look for Pennsylvania. And I'm going to see if I can find jobs in Pennsylvania for computer engineering. Oh, no. And then we're going to do a comparative analysis against like the resume. Okay, so Pennsylvania computer engineering, experience level, we're going to do entry level. Interesting. So there's a lot of like computer engineering and specific roles for Carnegie Mellon. I'm trying to do like a techie role, you know what I'm saying? Like something that's tech focused. Penn State. So maybe Pennsylvania is really heavy for higher education. Like higher education is a huge industry in Pennsylvania. Maybe that's why we're seeing all this. So we're going to do entry level and associate positions. Same thing. Electrical and computer engineering. Let's look at this. So this is a systems integrator developer role. So this was reposted 10 hours ago. So this is a relatively fresh job position. And remember, we're looking for computer engineering, computer science types of jobs in Pennsylvania. So we're going to go with this. I'm going to copy paste this and I'll put it in here. Okay. And I'm really just going to copy paste the job description and put it in quotations. And I'm going to run it and see what it does. Okay. Ooh, here's a comparative analysis of this person's resume against the Altor Systems Integration Developer Travel Technology job description. Competency in the job description that are unaddressed. Travel tech. This job requires experience with travel quality control systems, mid-office tools, and GDS systems. So in this person's resume, they don't mention anything about the travel industry. So you see how it's telling you like very specific competencies that are missing in detail at that. And it lists soft skills separately. What would make the resume a better fit? So it tells you some things that you could do, whether you have to get new experiences or simply just add some of this stuff in or reframe the way that you have things in your resume. And it tells you what you can do in detail. And it gives you an example of how to phrase it. Then it tells you a brief summary. Then it asks you if you want to rewrite sections of the resume. So do y'all see how I have this chat GPT, right? I have this GPT that already told me at the beginning what I could do in my resume to really make it more competitive. But then I put in this prompt from the prompt engineering workbook. And then I said, okay, well, do a comparative analysis against a specific job description. And I just found that on LinkedIn. And it starts telling me all this stuff that I can do. Is that not powerful? Y'all are really silent. I need y'all to talk back to me in the comments. What are your thoughts on this? Because I've been on for almost an hour and we're at close. What are your thoughts on this? Oh, yeah. You wish you had been there for the whole thing. It's okay. Thanks for liking the live and sharing. My thought is I want to invest in your ebook. The ebook is free. The ebook is free and the GPT that I built is free. The strategy is what's going to cost you. But I fully believe some of you will be able to just like use the GPT. The link is in my bio, and then use the prompt in the ChatGPT prompts. That's free too. Oh, the link for that is in my bio just to use it. And between those things, you can get a good head start. The strategy is what's going to cost you, right? The strategy comes down to not just learning how to get the job, but how to keep it as well. So some of my clients, they're completely unemployed. And then some of them are in a job and they're trying to pivot to something else. And so part of the confusion is that the GPT can't tell you how to think. It can give you suggestions for like how you can reframe certain things, but it's not going to tell you what your skill set is. Does that make sense? Like I have to talk to the person and we have to do like a whole consultation to discuss like what specifically your skill set is and how can we make this cohesive career narrative. We can do some storytelling in your resume. So that way recruiters can look at it and it makes sense. Because the GPT that I built is just like really using this like scoring framework that I told it to give you some recommendations for how you can phrase things on your resume, but the actual strategy behind it, what jobs to send it to, what jobs not to send it to, what your skill set is and where you can spend time in your current role upskilling to get maximum value. That's something that GPT is not going to tell you because there's too much data points that it would need to make that assessment correctly. So my clients, when they come in, they love the prompt engineering because it helps them search for jobs faster than they were before. But the actual internal work to figure out, okay, where am I positioned in the market? What kind of skills do I actually have? Where are the opportunities in my job currently today to where I can be doing a lot more, getting immediately value, quick wins, spin that impact into applying for other jobs. That takes a little bit more critical thinking. And I think this will be really helpful with trying to see the gaps between my resume and certain jobs or industries and what they're looking for. Yeah, it's a good starting point. It's a good starting point. And then, of course, how to keep the job as well. Because I have found, too, that some of y'all are struggling professionally because you have terrible soft skills. You don't know how to negotiate. You don't know how to manage up. And so my clients that come back to me consistently, it's because they need really specific support on like, hey, I'm growing my career. I'm making more money now, but they're asking me to do this, that, and the third. I don't know how to go negotiate with these people. Or, oh, like, my manager is saying this, that, and the third. Like, am I about to be laid off? How do I know this? What can I do to like protect myself right now? Those sorts of conversations are what happen in those coaching calls to protect you. Because again, the GPT can't do the thinking for you. It's not going to help you keep your job. It's going to help you. It's going to expedite the job search for you in some ways. In terms of telling you what specific jobs to apply for and then like what you're competitive for, that takes a little bit of critical thinking. And then of course you have to keep the job that you just got. So anywho, if you of course want to get that GPT, the link is in my bio. It's 100% free. You just have to click on the link and it'll take you to that. If you want to get the prompt engineering ebook with all the prompts that I used, you can use the prompts in connection with the GPT. The link is in my bio for both of those things. It's 100% free. It was like super quick for me to whip up. So it's no reason for me to like charge y'all for that. But the actual strategy is going to cost you the time and coaching it spends to get you where you need to be. Book a call with me. The link is in my bio to talk and see what exactly your options are. So do you guys have any more questions before I hop off? If not, then I'm out. It's been almost an hour. I need to lie down. So if you have not already done so, highly recommend that you book a call. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks, Stacey. Thanks for joining. Any other questions? I thought I would see more people grabbing the freebie. I thought I would see more people. Y'all go ahead and get it while you can. Because I said I might take it down at some point because I think I'm kind of ready to move on to other topics. Truthfully, I might be ready to move on to other topics. So it depends on how popular it is. Y'all seem to like it, so we'll see. In the short term, but in the long term, we'll see. I might want to pivot to do some other things because the ChatGPT stuff is kind of boring to me. Once you do it for a while, it's new to some people, but for me, I'm like, I want to do some more interesting stuff. Have a great night. Thank you. So anywho, download the GPT freebie. The link is in my bio. Download the prompt engineering freebie. The link is in the bio. But most importantly, book a call so we can talk one-on-one and see what exactly is going on. So you can get a little bit more direction and clarity on not only how to use the tools, but how to use it successfully and actually get the job that you want. I hope to talk to you guys later and have a good rest of your night. Oh, wait, you said you had a question? I'll stay for the question. Do you prefer people with some sort of coaching purpose, or do you work with who are a lot? I guess I'm not sure how to answer this question. I feel like most people, 9 times out of 10, they think they know what their problem is, but they actually don't. I feel like when all the calls that I've done, because the first call is free, so that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, the first call is free. So when I talk to people, I think the number one thing is like they think that they know what their issue is as to why they're not getting the jobs they want or why they're not getting interviews. But like in a 20-minute conversation, I can tell you what the issue is, and it's usually something totally different that you're not considering. So consider them more like a re-education call. I call them a clarity call for that purpose because it gives you a little bit more clarity as to what you're actually doing, what's working, and then what's not working. So even if you come to the call thinking that, oh, it's going to go like this, it's not. almost every single time. And these are not dumb people. These are people who are very well educated and, they've gone through all this stuff, right? They've done a lot of research on their own and they get to the call and I'm like, no, that's relevant. That's not the issue. So, I mean, I don't know. I think if you may have a purpose or you may have specific questions that you have prepared, but it usually goes a completely different direction because again, like I'm looking at it from an outsider's perspective, meaning I don't have any knowledge. I just know what you're showing me versus you. When it's you're kind of like seeing it from a different lens. So sometimes it takes that outsider perspective to see it differently. I hope what I said makes sense. But that's typically what happens. More often than not, it's that what you think is the issue is not the issue at all. You like that I call it a clarity call? Yeah, because it is. It's just to get clarity, just to get understanding. So anywho, I will talk to you guys later. I'm hot, but I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I look forward to seeing you guys come and start downloading this work and applying it, right? Because the GPT prompt is only as good as it is if you apply it. The custom GPT is only good if you apply it. Work on it. Use it. Use the tool. As a career coach, one thing I want is for you guys to use this stuff. Not just collect it and let it sit dust in your inbox because, unfortunately, a lot of career creators, they're not demonstrating for you in real time how to use it because they don't. They're glorified influencers at this point. Like they're not actually using it and they don't have a 9-to-5. So they don't feel the pressure that you guys feel, the pressure that I feel in my 9-to-5 to use this stuff. So I'm trying to demonstrate it for you in real time. All right. Have a good night.